So today we're going to be doing the area of a trapezium. So if we have a look at what we've written up here, you have to be able to identify what a trapezium is. So a trapezium has one pair of parallel sides. Okay, so if you look at this diagram here, the arrows indicate parallel lines. So we've got two parallel lines here. That's one pair of parallel lines. So that means we have a trapezium. Now the formula for the area of a trapezium is a tricky one. It does take a little bit of time for you to learn this, okay, but this is the formula. You've got to try and learn this formula. So it's area equals a half h bracket a plus b bracket. Now, in here, we have lots of letters. The A and the B stand for the two parallel sides. Their side lengths. And the H stands for the perpendicular height, like it always does. We did that when we did the triangle, and we did it when we did the parallelogram. H is always the perpendicular height, not perpendicular triangle, perpendicular height, and that is between the two parallel sides. So I'll go through it with you so you're not too confused. Now, the other thing about this formula is that you've got to remember to put the times signs in. So it's half times h times bracket a plus b. So I've written those in red so they stand out. Okay, so looking at our first example, we're finding the area. Underline what you're doing. Now, we look at it and we go, there is one pair of parallel sides here, so this is a trapezium. Then we write the formula down. Area equals half times h times bracket a plus b. Now, when you go to put your numbers in, first thing you should do is look for those parallel sides. So here's my two parallel sides, and I have a 15 and a 22 for those side lengths. So I'm going to put those in over here in the bracket first. So I'm putting in the 15 plus 22 for the A and the B, which are the parallel side lengths. Now, joining the A and the B, the two parallel sides, we have our perpendicular height. Okay, so you can see the right angle, that indicates it's perpendicular, and it goes from the one parallel side length to the other. So that's 8, so that's the last thing I normally put in. And then we go to our calculator. So you can type all of this in your calculator in one go and get the answer straight away. Okay, so we're going to press fraction key, press in the half, 1, down arrow, 2, then after that, right arrow out of your fraction so your cursor's ready to go. Then we're pressing times, 8, times, and now we're ready for our brackets. Now your bracket keys are here, just here. All right, so we're going to do open bracket. See the open bracket on the calculator. Then we're going to press 15 plus 22, and then we want to close the bracket off. So here's your closed bracket. Now, if you look at my screen, it looks identical to my working line here. So if it looks the same, you then press equals, and you got your answer, 148. So we write 148 down. Our units are millimetres, and it's area, so we have to have units being squared. All right, so let's try another one. Here's our diagram. Now, there's no parallel line markings on here, but we have two right angles. So you can imagine if you've got three sides, but you've got two right angles, right? If I had two lines like that, if I straighten them up and put two right angles in there, it really is telling you that these two lines are your parallel lines. So those two numbers are going to be my A and my B in my formula because they're the parallel lines. Now the H is going to be the perpendicular height between them. Well, this is the side that goes between them, and we do have our right angle for our perpendicular part, so that will be our H that goes in. So let's see how we go putting our numbers in. So we've got our formula, area equals half times H times bracket A plus B. I'm going to put my parallel sides in first, which is 7.9 and 4.8. And everything's the same as the line above. So the H is the 5.2. That's the last thing I'm putting in. And now we're going to our calculator to do that whole thing in one go. So we take our calculator, we press the fraction key, 1, down arrow, 2, right arrow out of it, times 5.2 times, open bracket, 7.9 plus 4.8, close the bracket, and then you can't see that whole screen there because it's sort of got a lot to put in, but it's all there. Press equals, and it's 33.02. And then we've got centimetres this time and squared for area. All right, let's look at the next question. So our next one, here's our parallel line markings. So they must be our A and our B. Our H, our perpendicular height, here's the right angle. So this is the thing joining the A and the B together. So now we're going to put everything in. Don't forget our formula has times signs there. Now if you like, we can just go left to right if you know what you're doing. The H is 15 times, open bracket, 75 plus 40, close the bracket, and we're going to our calculator. So we're typing in fraction key, 1, down arrow, 2, right arrow, times 15 times, open bracket, 75 plus 40, close bracket, there it all is, press equals at the end, and you get that funny answer there. I don't like the look of that answer. So we're going to use our SD key, press SD, and I like the look of that answer, so I'm going to take that one, 862.5. So it's 862.5 metres squared for area. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. All right, so we're moving over here. All right, so this one down the bottom here, we have two parallel sides. So we're going to put A and B on those two parallel sides. The parallel markings with the arrows. Now, the perpendicular height, you've got to look for your right angle. Well, doesn't have a right angle. But when they give you a question like this, sometimes they'll do what they've done here. Now, they haven't marked a right angle in, but really, there is a right angle here. So what they've done is extended the two parallel sides and marked a distance between them. They may not put the right angle in, but that is definitely your perpendicular height, going from one parallel side to the other. So now we're putting them all in up here. So we have times signs. Don't forget to put those in. Then we've got a half times. H is 16 times, open bracket. A is 38 plus B is 21. It doesn't matter which way around those parallel sides go in. You could call that A and that B. It doesn't matter for those parallel sides. All right, so we're putting all that in the calculator. You should know how to do this now yourself. So we're going to fraction key, 1 down arrow, 2 right arrow, times 16 times open bracket, 38 plus 21, close the bracket, equals 472. And the units are centimetres, and it's squared for area. Okay, now, we're getting a couple of harder questions here. So this one is, we've got something underneath. We're finding the area of that shaded thing. So it says find the area. So I know that this is a trapezium because this side here and this side here, those two are parallel. I know they're parallel because they're both horizontal. All right, so if you've got a horizontal line and another horizontal line, they will be parallel. So they will be my parallel sides, A and B. Now, it doesn't have numbers there, but you can work this out yourself, I'm sure. This one down the bottom goes from the 0 to 7. So that's 7. So that will be 7. And this one up here, well, if you go down, if you just go all the way down here, that lines up with 1. If I go all the way down here, that lines up with 4. So I need the gap from 1 to 4, that would be 3. So I know that this is going to be a 3 up here. Now the perpendicular height. The perpendicular height joins from one parallel side to the other, straight down. So you can imagine if I bring it out here, my perpendicular height is going to be 8. So from there to there is going to be my perpendicular height. So I write my formula down for the area of a trapezium, and I'm going to sub these things in. So I have a half times, the height is 8, times, open bracket, 3 plus 7 for my parallel sides. And then you're going to put that in your calculator. A half times 8 times, open bracket, 3 plus 7, close bracket. And you will get an answer of 40. Now, we don't have any units on this one, so you can just write units squared. If they don't give you units, you can do that. Okay, so the next thing is we've got another tricky question over here. So if you find it hard, sorry, I'll just move this over. If you find this question hard, don't worry, okay? This is for the people that are going really well and want to have something a little bit trickier to do. So let's have a look. They've given you that shape. It says down here, council regulations state that 20% of the land must be for gardens. How much land is available for building? Now this happens a lot with councils. Okay, people buy land and they sometimes think, oh, I'm going to build lots of different accommodation on my land. And the council goes, well, no, you can't do that because some of the land we have to have as gardens. There's a reason for that. Can you imagine what it would be like if we had lots of people with all their blocks of land just building all over it? It would look very ugly. Plus it does nothing for the environment, and we need something, especially when we're in lockdown, to look out on. So we like to look out on trees and gardens and open spaces. Okay, so it's for mental health as well as everything else. Okay, so this is what the block of land looks like. Now, a lot of blocks of land are just rectangles, but sometimes you'll get one that's an odd shape, especially if you're at the end of a cul-de-sac or something like that. The shapes of the land will not be rectangles. Okay, so that's the shape of the land we're dealing with. So the first thing we really need to do here is find the area of this shape, because we're talking about the land area. When people are talking about these things, they need to find out the area in this space here on the land. All right, so we know by looking at that shape, the two right angles tell us that these two sides here are parallel. So we have one pair of parallel sides here, so it is a trapezium. So I'm going to have that as A and that as B. We need an H for the perpendicular height. The right angles help you out here. And this will be our perpendicular height joining our two parallel sides together. So we're going to find that area first. So we're going to write down the formula we've just learnt. In year 8 you learn the formula to look like that, which is why I write it like that to start with. And then I put the time signs down. Okay. So we're going to put our numbers in. Our H is 80. Times, open bracket, 130 for one parallel side and 75 for my other one, close the bracket. So we're all going to go to our calculators and we're going to work that out, and you know how to do that, so I'm not going to do that on the screen for you. I'm just going to do it here. So 1 over 2, make sure you right arrow after the fraction, times 80 times open bracket 130 plus 75, close bracket and press equals. And I've got 8,200. Now leave that on your screen at the moment. We'll just leave it there. And this is in metres squared for area. Now, 20% of this 8,200 square metres must be for gardens. So I wonder what percentage that would leave me to build on. Developers and builders need to know this. So they need to be able to work out their areas. They also need to be able to work out percentages. So if I have 20% garden, then my building will be 100%, that's the whole of the land, minus 20%. And that leaves me with 80% of the land to be built on. I can build on 80% of the land, so let's work out what that is. So 80% is 80 out of 100. Right? That percent symbol means 80 out of 100. If you get 80% in a test, you've got 80 out of 100. And we want to get 80% of means times the area of the land, which we just worked out, 8,200. Now we're going to go to our calculator and work that out. So you're going to press in your calculator, fraction key, 80 over 100, right arrow out of the fraction, times 8,200. Your screen should look like that. Press equals, and we get 6,560 metres squared. So that's how much area of land the builders are allowed to build on. Okay, and this becomes very, very important for people that are builders or developers, and then they'll go to an architect and say, this is how much I've got to build on. Can you do me a plan so that I can use my whole 6,560 square metres? So everybody in the building industry needs to know how to do their areas and percentages. Otherwise, the council's going to come down and say that you're not compliant and you cannot move into this building. Okay, so it's really important to get your numbers right. Okay, boys, so you're going to practice this for homework. See how you go. Every time, for all these easier questions that we're doing, remember how we did them? We've got a formula, put your numbers in, and use your calculator to get your answer. I want to see 3 lines of working on all of them. Okay, have fun.